So I think when I started off with smaller characters, and I remember there were a bunch of people who would say, don't do those because you're going to only get those, so you're not going to be considered for more prominent roles. Malayalam audiences are ready to accept different kinds of films, and we've had from sort of much earlier, we've had many incredible filmmakers. Roshan and I keep talking about it. We got a message from him when we landed. He said, I will make sure when we reach Sri Lanka, I will make sure that your stay here is comfortable and that every minute in front of the camera is challenging, is uncomfortable and challenging, or something like that.
Amazing.
And we realized that that's just exactly what we're looking for. I'd go to him before a scene to hear what I should be doing or what his thoughts are, and he'll say, surprise me, and I was like, okay.
Any discussion with you, I feel, is incomplete without mentioning Jaya 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 Hey. Tell us about your first reaction when you heard the script.
It was mostly just me freaking out a lot. I cannot even tell you how scared I was about this. Where we broke shoot and had prep for it, I hit Basil. So he had an injury on the second day. We've not even shot the scene. We've not even gone into shooting the scene, and he has a stitch here. He's walking with ice. Even with what we think is right and wrong, or which it just depends on which side you're going to look at this thing from, right? Even with Ramayana, where we come from and the way they look at Ramayana is so different. Women are sort of forced to grow up a lot quicker. Girls, or you're forced to become a lot more mature than, or you're expected to take the be the bigger people, know more, give leeway for the boys in your. So here there was this really. She was holding space for this boy who hasn't caught up.
Hello everyone, welcome to Filmcopath. For today's interview, we are thrilled to have Darshana Rajendran with us. As you are aware, Darshana is one of the best actors of our country. We have seen her immaculate work, not only in Malayalam cinema, but across various other industries such as Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. And also, if that was not enough, she's an extremely gifted singer who also does playback in her films. Today is quite special in the sense that Darshana will tell us about her latest film, Paradise, which won the Kim Ji-seok Award at the Busan International Film Festival and will soon release to theatres near you on 28th June, I think. So we'll talk about Paradise as well as her journey in cinema, where she has completed a decade. Thank you, Darshana, for joining us today, and many congratulations on completing a decade. New film which is going to release. How does everything feel?
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry that this talk took so long. Arup has been talking to me for a really long time. I'm sorry it only happened now. I'm very glad, very excited. Also, thank you for being so excited about all of my work. It's really nice to hear from people who've been catching work from different parts of the world. So.
Yes, it has been an entire privilege, Darshana. It has been our privilege, and yours story has been very inspiring for us. So you started with supporting roles, each of which stood out for its impact on the films. And then gradually, it feels like you earned your place as the face of the film. You had back-to-back successes as lead actors, a chartbuster song topping playlists named after you. And now you're ready with your international project. So how did you manage to achieve this arc while many others with talent and potential might never get that kind of exposure, even after the struggles of the lifetime?
Oh God, I feel like I just kept at it. I'd say, more than I was with whatever little that was coming along the way. I tried to do it like it was the biggest thing at that moment, and I just kept doing that for a while until I guess it made sense. So I think when I started off with smaller characters, and I remember there were a bunch of people who would say, don't do those because you're going to only get those, so you're not going to be considered for more prominent roles. But for me at that point, it was my way of sort of, this is my work. I need to be doing work. I need to also learn, because this cinema was very new to me. So I sort of grabbed any opportunity that I thought was going to teach me something. So sometimes it was purely, okay, I'm going to get a day with this director I really like and I'll do it. Or it's one scene. There's only one scene, but that one scene is exciting and I feel like there's something for me to do. I've done it. So it's like from there to, I feel like there's something about like Malayalam industry and how, all of these rules or all of these things that people have just laid out as you should go do it this way or you should do it. You don't really have to, or at least with me, I felt like I haven't had to, sort of go by that path. And that's probably because it's the Malayalam industry. And, I feel like today I'm being considered for these small parts and for the, slightly more prominent parts. I think another thing is that I come from theater. I used to do theater before. And in theater, whether it's a 2-minute role or a 2-hour role, you're rehearsing for the 100 days along with the bunch. And so we've never really looked at a 2-minute role as a smaller thing. So I've come from that world, and maybe that's why I think, this wasn't a very difficult or like a sort of a brave choice or anything. This is how I knew how to do things. This is how I continue doing things. And I've been really lucky that along that way, I got picked up by these incredible makers. And I think with Kerala there are so many intelligent filmmakers. They can see you in for one shot in a film and be able to place you in different things. And that's exactly what happened with me. So it's I mean, I think it's when Arup mentioned that it's 10 years that I realized it's 10 years. So I remember we were doing promotions and Roshan and I were doing promotions. I said, Roshan, it's 10 years. I mean, it feels like 2000 years and half a year or both together, because I feel like I've been doing this for a really long time. My first play was in 2011 and I've been an actor since then. But I think it's in the last, say, 3 or 4 years, or maybe right after when See You Soon and Anum Pennum and all of those started coming, that I started being able to practice this a lot more or do more of it. And until then, I still was an actor for the remaining, 7 years, 8 years. So yeah, it's been a journey I look back at, and I'm very grateful and happy that I'm getting to do.
Amazing. Darshana, you mentioned See You Soon. And, if we talk about like your breakout performance, that is the movie that we look up to. And you were so, so good in portraying the emotions of Anu within the limitations of a much smaller split screen. And there were so many shades and variations of Anu, like crying and expressing her pain. So tell us, how difficult was it, bringing out such emotions, especially when you're not having a co-actor in front of you to reciprocate to, and it's like performing only to a phone. And Roshan, of course, who is your co-star in Paradise, he was also a co-star there along with Fafa. So please tell us about that.
It was one of those really experimental, exciting journeys. Like it was nothing like we've worked on before. So even when we started, it was something that Fahad sort of said, I don't know what we are making of this. I don't know what medium or where we are taking this for. It's possible that we're just going to make this and put it out on a YouTube channel. Are you okay with that? And to me, that was a great way to start something, because you're going to be experimenting. You're going to push the boundaries, try something. This is also at a time where it was bang in the middle of a lockdown, so we couldn't move around, or so we were all just shifted to one apartment and we're shooting there. So there are 12 people. And all these 12 people are doing everything from okay, so my room, the room where I was staying, is the room where Anumol's scenes were being shot. So that's the way we functioned. So there was, it was beautiful, and I felt like, like in theater, this is how we work. There are 10 people, and the 10 people are doing everything. And I felt that for the first time here. There was that sort of ensemble feeling with everything that we did in See You Soon, and it was quite a challenge to sort of not. I feel like the technicalities were too alien to me. I was not even able to understand when we read the script or when we discussed how we're going to go about this. I didn't understand anything. So I was just like, okay, I'm not going to be able to visualize or imagine this. So let me just stick to what I'm able to access. And those were emotions, or those were my, very specifically my, my moments, my graph, or my scenes. So I just stuck to that. And with like you said, we couldn't look at. So we're mostly looking at a phone rigged to, it's almost a back of the phone, because the front camera would make it really, so you're looking at the back of a of this,
Right.
and there's a cinematographer holding it so that the frame looks okay. And at all times there was Fahad or Roshan or whoever I was interacting with in the room, present in the room, right there, giving me the cues and, supporting the scene in whatever way. So it was never that I was doing it in, out of, it's just that I couldn't look at them, but I could feel that energy at all times. So I think that really, really helped. And with Anumol, I felt like it was all too real, and like, we've heard of these stories, we've read about it, and it wasn't difficult to, as much as it's a far away thing, or I can't even imagine what someone like that must be going through. It is very real. So it is very, it's happening today. So the reality of it makes it also like, I think it was all of us jumped into it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Darshana, I wanted to talk about my favorite performance of yours, and that's from the short Rani from Arnam Pennan. That character feels like a juxtaposition of all your memorable characters. Like, she's loving, she's raw, she has a lot of courage, unapologetic. And we have our own analysis of the film, but I really wanted to understand, when you are looking up to the character, and then, the film finishes at one point, how do you look at the journey of this girl from here on? What do you think will happen next?
I feel like I've heard this somewhere in some films where, I don't remember who really, but someone saying, you see so many women just saying, what are we going to do next? And like looking really helpless. And this woman was just, she was a problem solver to me. She was like, there is a problem. I'm just going to like do what I have to do. If you want to get on board, you get on board. Like, I don't care. So to me, she's somebody who is completely badass. She is very sure of her body. She knows what she wants. She's a young, excited lover. She's, she was all these really beautiful things that I aspire to be. So for me, I loved playing Rani, Pennum in the short Rani, and it was. So to me, I think I would still imagine her. I don't know where or what she'd be doing, but I think that she's still just living her life the way she wants to, and not giving a shit about what the world expects from her. And she's probably like, really. She's sort of raising the bar for the men in her life. She's probably pushing them to be a little more mature and get their shit together. I don't know. I feel like for me,
we felt she should leave. She should leave the boy for now, because I mean that story kind of connects the other two, where we see in Parvati's story, Rachiyamma, she waits. And we felt that, that's a time, that story is talking about a time, but it has moved on from now. The girl from today should not be waiting anymore. She should leave. And that kind of connects to, the Purush Prakriti kind of also, which comes from the name, which also suggests nature is giving up on us gradually, maybe.
To me, like the idea of, I think I really liked exploring with Anam Pernam. One thing was that, when I don't know if it's a general thing and maybe it's not true, but I felt that women are sort of forced to grow up a lot quicker, girls, or you're forced to become a lot more mature than, or you're expected to take the be the bigger people, know more, give leeway for the boys in your. So here there was this really, she was holding space for this boy who hasn't caught up. She was holding space for, and I feel like I don't know if she should leave him today. That's her world. That's who she's. Those are the boys she's surrounded by, and she's young, and she's the fact that she's, she really likes this boy. This boy might take some time, but I feel like we've all been through. I mean, as women, at least, I can tell that I've gone through relationships or been with boys who haven't really or are not emotionally as mature. Whether it's in school or college, I feel like they take some more time. I think society has a role to play in that. Like like I said, I do think that women are forced to, not be children, or like they have to speed up this growing up process for some reason. So yeah, I don't know what she'd be doing, but I just know she'll be figuring like her life out, and whatever shit she's in, she'll figure it out. I have that much
Amazing.
faith.
Next
Yeah.
one I wanted to really talk about is Rhythm. And I feel
I love that film.
it's such a complex character. I mean, it starts in a different way and then it takes an arc of itself. And my favorite scene is when Arun calls Darshana, and when he becomes a father, and that kind of establishes their relationship beyond definitions. Like, it's not only about a love relationship and all of that, but I wanted to talk about your expressions after that scene. You were crying, you were also laughing, you were also like, you are now starting to think that you have more options in your life, finally moving on, maybe. So I'm just wanting to understand, how do you prepare for that kind of a scene, or do you prepare at all? Does it come?
I think for me, I would think it's Vinith Attenborough, my director, who just would put you in that world and like let you go where you want. I don't go prepared, in the sense I don't think these are the sort of emotions she must be going through. That's not how I go for it. So I wasn't maybe planning to cry or laugh or take this line this particular way. That's not how I do it. What I do is I replay events up until then, in a way, sort of quickly, before I go into my scene, so that I'm, like, at the end of the day, it's another life. It's not my life. It's somebody else's, life that I'm sort of going through. So just so I'm not missing out on anything, or there's not I'm very present to what's happening. So the weight of all of these things is sort of there when I'm doing that scene. That's what I do. Like, I do a quick reading, or like I sometimes have, in terms of prep, sometimes when I'm reading, I'm mostly just familiarizing with the script when I'm preparing. So when I read the script, I sometimes just write keywords in a way that, okay, so I say scene, whatever, 42 or something. And then I look at, up until 40, I just look at those keywords and I'm thinking this is what this is, this, like I do a little bit of a track like that. And then when I get into the scene, I'm seeing the environment, or I'm there, I'm very present. I know my co-actor, I know what's coming from there, and then I take it from there. So I don't, I leave space for what I could feel when I play that scene out.
So if you are taking another shot at that particular scene, it might have been a bit different, is what you were saying.
Possibly. Yeah, very, very possible. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very interesting that you said, you write keywords and, preparing for a particular scene, because any discussion with you, I feel, is incomplete without mentioning Jaya 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 Hey. Because what a film and what a performance. Because tell us about your first reaction when you heard the script. And like you said, because you write your keywords for a particular scene and all, please take us through the preparations of the shoot of that epic fight scene between you and Basil.
that was mostly just me freaking out a lot. Like, I cannot even tell you how scared I was about this, because when I heard the script, I went prepared, because I'd been getting a lot of these really, how do I say, like this very heavy, intense, sort of traumatic characters. So I go in for a narration and I'm just like, oh God, I'm going to have to cry. I'm going to come back and have to live with the weight of this girl for a while. So that's how I went to listen to Jai Hey. And the first half was just that. I'm like, why is everyone just beating me up? Why do they want to just... So I went like that. And then he said, he narrated this scene, and I was just, I had no idea it's coming. I was like, I sat and I laughed, and I it almost felt like I was going through that movie, I was watching that movie, or I had one short dose of that whole movie experience when my director and co-writer Nashid, both of them were there and they both narrated it to me together. And I had such a party listening to it, and I was so scared when he said this, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. How do I do this? Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I finished the meeting. I said, I mean, I already knew I wanted to. I just had to get my thoughts together. So I called Basil right after and I said, what the hell? How are we going to do this? And Basil was just like, isn't it nice? Isn't it nice? Shall we do it? Shall we do it? So we got on board, and like, you know, he's the one who first put them on to me, put the sort of suggested this as an option, me as an option for the character. And then I think right after, I think pretty much that day, I got in touch with like instructors and trainers and started on my prep, because I felt like every hour is like, it's a very far off thing for me. I don't come from like, I'm not a, you know, in terms of fitness, I work out, I'm, you know, a regular with all of this, but it's not, this was some other level in terms of fitness that I didn't have with me. And I had like 2 months to shoot. So it was like I have to do everything I can. And I obviously had other work and all of that in between. So I was like, not wasting a minute, like start on. And literally I went on training. I had multiple injuries because I was pushing towards something that, you know, I physically didn't have with me. So it had to be quick. So I had, the more I pushed, I'd be sick, or like I broke my ankle and I lost like almost 3 weeks. So I'm just sitting on bed and crying and like telling my friends, what am I going to do for this film? That's what preparation for that film meant. It was really scary, even on shoot. So we shot most of like, you know, up until the fight or the first kick, we were shooting all of that. And I was like, okay, all of this, but how? I mean, I think that was, I wasn't like, I was going with the flow of that, but this is something that was really scary. So I think we had, my stunt directors came on board. We had 2 more days of, apart from my trainer here, Glenn, who was helping me with this, there were so the stunt director and his team was sort of, we had 2 days of training. And the second day of training, where we broke shoot and, you know, had prep for it, I hit Basil. So he had an injury on the second day. No. We've not even shot the scene. We've not even gone into shooting the scene, and he has like a stitch here. He's walking with ice. So I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so difficult. And I'm really freaking out. And within the second day, I had an injury where I had a little bit of a tear around my thigh. So yeah, altogether, it was just pain and like reaching out for something that's really far away, but also having such a good time. So it was just the hospitals where we shot in Kollam all knew that we are going through some, I don't know what's going on in this film, but every day we went, by evening, they'll be like, oh, so I'll be in the hospital, and they'll be like, oh, Basil hasn't come today. And, you know, like that's, or next day Basil would be there and they'll be like, oh, Darshana's okay today. Like, so everyone knew this was going on. So it was a lot of struggle, but it at that point it was just I think after the first day I just started having, once I knew that okay, I'm getting some hang of it, and like I'm having fun, so keeping all the pain on one side, I just like jumped in a way that I also like the team was very, it wasn't a very sort of, oh, what a beautiful shot sort of a team. They'd just be like permanently like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Like, that's the kind of, it's a permanent trolling and making fun sort of a set. So from all of that, after the first day of the fight, I remember my director seeing me near the lift in the morning, and I was just like, in pain. And he comes and he's like, I can't imagine anyone else playing Jaya. And I felt like I took one long breath of, okay, now I will like have a lot of fun, because I'm like, okay, he's getting something and I'm having fun. So now it's going to be fun. Right. So after that, it was just such a blast. Like, I think there's this film was one of those where I still keep looking at photographs and videos, and like I'm just like, oh God, that happened, that I went through that. So it's one of those for me, for sure.
For the audience also, like watching this film was always a blast, and it has such a great repeat value also.
Yeah, thank you.
How much did that fight scene take? I mean, How long
We
did you
shot, I think we had 5 days of shoot for all the action.
Okay.
So so we had the house scenes were about 2 days, and the climax fight was about 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Darshana, when you are like out on the streets, do you get like miscalled as Jaya Jaya, somebody calling you from far ahead because of the
There are
character?
aunties who will come and say "Mole Jay," so I'm very. I love it. I love how I get this. People sing my name now. So every now and then I hear that. Like when I'm walking down the street, and there will be someone who'll put their head out and call. Start singing Darshana. So yeah, it's such a blessing that. That you're remembered by characters that you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And also, it is a very fun film for us to watch. Like it's a comedy. It has its elements, but it's fun for the viewer to watch. But the actors are also serious, right? They are all
Yeah.
serious in the film. Nobody is laughing. Nobody's like playing
Yeah.
to the gallery. So how exactly did like director Vipin drive the tone of the film? Like how did he manage to do that?
Lot of laughing behind the. I mean, like lot of takes just because we were laughing.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure.
for all the laughing that I think someone put up a video. I'm not sure. One of our co-actors who played his sister, she put up this video of us when right before when we're like, NRD, I'm gonna. If you hit me, I'll hit you, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that portion. We did it so many times because Basil and I are also like really obnoxious laughers. So we laugh with like he has a really stupid, silly laugh. I laugh like almost like a witch. So the combination of us laughing itself makes people laugh. So and it's loud and we don't know how to stop. So Basil is like a child who's once you start on one of these things and you're not supposed like you're in class and the teacher is going to catch you and you see it, but you just don't know how to stop laughing. Basil is like, and I have this image of this really professional actor and all, but with Basil, it all goes down the drain because I'll see his eyes twinkling with his like beginning of a laugh, and I'll start laughing, and then it. So we did that we did that scene so many times before we could do it without a laugh. So yeah, I think that's even the director and the writers. We're all just through the whole film. We were just it was
Laughing.
a very funny set also. Like you're constantly making jokes, pulling each other's leg. That was the tone of the film throughout. So yeah, I guess it's a lot of laughs off screen.
Amazing.
Right.
Also, Darshana, you come from a theater background. You spoke about it just now. But what we feel, there's you use your body language, you use your eyes to establish your character so well. Like even if I talk about Jaya 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 Hai, the first 1 hour you are just observing. In the way you are
Yeah.
observing these characters, we kind of feel what's going through her mind. And then, I cannot forget that scene in Purusha Pretham where Inspector Sebastian is leaving the station and there's this look,
Yeah.
with the glasses, you are just looking at him. So what's
Yes.
this art of, using the body language or the looks and then, getting the characters established?
I don't know how to break it down like that, honestly. It's not like, I work on my body overall. And like, just for me, it's not so, I don't know how to give you a method of how I do it because I really don't know.
That's all organic.
Yeah, it's not planned in terms of this is not the look I don't know how to plan it. Even if I think of how do I plan it, I don't know how to do it. Sometimes I wish I did so that I'm not like always hitting in the dark. So that I have some sense of peace because I'm always freaking out before every shoot, and like I don't have that sort of a formula or like I think most people. I mean, it's not like anybody has a formula. Every time you do it, it's sort of you're finding new things. But with all of these places, it's also not just. I think how it's being captured is a lot also, right? It's not, there have been places where I feel like I have communicated this, but it hasn't been captured. So it's a mix of everything. It's cinema and it's filmmaking. It's not just me and my eyes or it's a bunch of things. So from my end, as much as possible, like I said, I stay true to that moment and like try as much as possible to focus on the surroundings, or like how much every time I sit and I'm stuck in what am I doing with this? I know that doesn't work for me. Put full focus onto what's coming from there. So even with Purusha Pradam, I know that I looked at him. I really looked at what was coming from there to be able to give that reaction, or like I reacted to that. It's not, I didn't perform that or anything. It was a response to what was coming from there. Yeah.
Right. Darshana, we love Krishant, okay, and like he's a friend of the channel.
I love him too.
and everyone is like, there's a unique filmmaking process and style he has. It's like, I don't know, it's wacky and like it's very different. But tell us like how he prepares actors for those scenes. Like there are such serious proceedings, like in the police station, and there is Neo Noir on the roll, and there's this police guy who is serving lemonades to everyone. So
yeah. And it's not the humor is not happening by chance. With every line, he sort of marks it, saying, "Idil humor in there. There's humor here. There's humor here." So he sort of tells the actor that, "Oh, you have this to play with. You have this." So it's very careful. It's all planned with him. Like it's all very, very. My process with him, I really don't know how to explain, because I don't understand his process. I don't know if anybody understands his process. It's all in his head. He's just, like you said, he's so wacky, and he's so not, like, it's so far from convention or the way you've done things outside of, his set.
But still feels real. You will see, like we find it feeling real. It doesn't feel out of place.
Yeah. So I realized early on with Purusha Pradam itself that, okay, I don't think I can. Again, like I said about Siu, so I don't think I can figure this out, or I understand why he's keeping the camera like this, and like I don't understand what's happening. I don't know enough about cinema to understand that much, but like I'm very okay to play along. So like when he's saying that shot where all the police people are doing this, or there's a umbrella scene where all of us are. He's like, all of you, a little more. So I'm just like, what is this man doing? Right? You don't understand when you're. He's told us this, or he sometimes sketches an image and shows you a visual. So he's given you all this, but you don't know what the film is going to be unless a film is made. Like for me, at least, I have no sense. Even I worked with him on a series now after Purusha Pradam, and it's just as magical. Like each time, I'm surprised. I've seen a little bit of the footage, and it's just like, where is all of this coming from? Even with the ideas, he just throws a lot of like. We speak a lot about, upcoming things and like bounce ideas off each other and all of that. So whenever he brings a new idea, I'm just like, where is this coming from? Like, what are you made of? Like it's so strange that we're all in the same world, but you are like some different piece of brain and like, some functioning that I don't understand. But I love to completely surrender and be part of. Like, I don't want to understand. It's okay. Like, he calls me for anything, I will happily run and go. Yeah, I have that much trust in everything that he does.
Right.
Amazing. So now let's talk about your upcoming release, Paradise. I'm extremely excited for the theatrical release. And how was it working with the director, Prasanna Vithange? And we watched one of the interviews where he was saying that he was expecting you to surprise him every time. What was your way of approach to that?
The number of times he's told me every scene, like once he knew we were on the same page, he said very little. So I'd go to him before a scene to like hear what I should be doing or what his thoughts are. And he'll say, surprise me? And I was like, okay. And then you're like, okay. Then the next day again, he'll be like, yesterday you surprised me. Today also you surprised me. So it was a very, very empowering feeling, honestly, to know that this person has so much trust in where I'm going to take this character. And multiple times, so something would be written and, like there'll be so and so Amrita looks here and then this event happens. And then sometimes the event will happen and then Amrita looks here comes. Or like some order or something would change. And I'd be like, oh, sorry, let's go again. And he'd be like, no, 1 minute. And then he'll stop. And then he'll think, he's like, no, you are right. You are right. This should come first. You are right. So he used to, everything I offered was always received. And I felt very held with him in a way that um, I had I felt very protected in a way that I could jump at everything. I had the faith to try things or like follow my instincts and not block it. Sometimes you're not encouraged like that. So he was so supportive with every
Wow.
thought, and I think one thing he let me travel with it a lot more, acknowledging the fact that you're a woman, you will have more sense of what she's going through at the moment. So I will only tell you, this is my base, you can go with it. So it was
Wow.
fabulous. It was such a like very fruitful, very sort of, very meaningful experience for me to work with someone as incredible as him. Like it's, I had only watched his films after, this film came up. But I'm a big fan, and I've only now, like I said, I've only started catching up with films and watching films a little more, in a different way now. And when I went in for festivals and all of that, he's like a superstar. He does,
Yeah.
there are people from all over the world just like properly, like proper fans, and, people who just coming in just to see him. And so it was so incredible and he's so easy to work with. We both, Roshan and I, keep talking about it. We got a message from him when we landed. He said, I will make sure when we reach Sri Lanka, I will make sure that your stay here is comfortable, and that every minute in front of the camera is uncomfortable and challenging, or something like that. And we
Amazing.
realized that that's just exactly what we're looking for from every film or every project. That's the ideal setup. And that's exactly what this project was. Like it was, it was, Prasanna sir was such a fabulous person to work with.
Right.
I have watched Paradise, Darshana. I watched it in
you have.
Mummy, and loved it.
Okay.
It's one of the most devastating experiences in the recent times, I would say. And the film has so many interpretations, so many layers. There are ironies in different settings that come out. Like, it's kind of a retelling of the Ramayana. It's a straightforward human story of limitations and selfishness, maybe. So when you were working on it, or as you say, you perceive the character, you perceive how the story is processing, you were looking forward to any one interpretation, or was it like, scene by scene you used to take it?
Yeah, no, I think for me, I wasn't really, I felt like these were all writing things, like not for me to sort of, I could if I wanted to, but it wasn't for me to really think too much about. I had to focus on at least that's how I approached it. Some of the layers that are happening in the film, some of it I realized only while watching it myself. So the whole picture, or what we see as a film, and what these undertones are things that I also saw along with people in the festival. While doing it, I was traveling through, like I said, like very present with my story, my graph, and the context at which it was going on. But it's beautiful because, like you said, like each festival we went to, each screening we went to, there were so many different interpretations of the same film, right? Like it was, they were really varied, and the discussions and engagement with people was just so enriching because of just this, because of so many different versions and understandings of the same thing. And every time in discussions, when people would be like, I think this scene meant this, and what would you like to say? And Prasanna sir would just say, yes, whatever you thought is that's what we meant. So he's like, he wasn't willing to sort of break it down and this is what we meant. It is all of what you got is what was meant to be. Like what was. So he's a magician.
The ending itself requires a discussion analysis. We'll not get into that now. Maybe later, next time you are there, we'll discuss about it.
Yeah, no, it's also
we still need to watch it.
Yeah, of
Oh, they
course.
haven't
We
watched it.
haven't
But
watched it yet.
I won't say anything about the ending, but just so Arup knows that we didn't have a discussion analysis before we went into the scene. Like I said, like he didn't mark out the intentions for this. Why did he do this? Why did she do this? Was not, at least with me, I didn't have that with him. He again said, okay, I might say more if I don't want to
Yeah.
break anything. So please watch after 28th, I will tell
Yes, yes, for
you.
sure.
Yes, because unlike Arup, who is one of the privileged person who has got to watch it, rest of us who are going to watch
Yeah.
this video, we haven't. What we have is the trailer. Okay,
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
is such an interesting premise, which is like a microcosm of the world we live in today. So there's
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
country torn apart by like economic crisis, where there are tourists who have come to visit the same place and enjoy. And this is like every one of us, while there are different things are happening around the world. So, and also you
Yeah.
in one of your interviews, you talk about the character a little bit, that she's a vegetarian and like she has different shades. So how do you relate to this particular character when you started the process?
There were many things I could very easily sort of connect to, or like, uh, I mean, again, I might say too much, but from very, she's a very, she says very little. Not that I speak little. Not that, I mean, in the larger thing, for me, she was a very polite but straightforward, or she's very opinionated. She had, uh, but you don't see her voicing it in words, so to speak. You're seeing her in the film, at least, like she's not confrontational. So she's picking her battles. She's not fighting. Like she wants to she wants to write a novel, but at the moment she's writing a vlog, and her husband says, don't waste time on sitting with your blog, and she doesn't even acknowledge that it doesn't feel like a battle to fight at the moment. She's continuing this. She's enjoying writing her blog, and you see multiple things like this that she does. You see absolutely no reaction to it, but obviously there's something happening inside of her, right? And for me, that was a very beautiful thing to explore. The unsaid, the quiet, like you said about Jaya. I had very similar but different silences to explore with Amrita. And there was a lot of it. Like, in the film, if I read the script, there were very few lines under the name Amrita, but she goes through like so much. And that's one of the reasons why I sort of wanted to do it, because it felt like so much to be communicated and no words for it. So it's going to be challenging. And that felt like, it felt like something I'd be stupid to let go of, So yeah.
You mentioned that, and I am reminded of that scene. It's also in the trailer where they have lost these valuables, and Roshan Matthews' character says, "Why are you happy?" And
Yeah.
you say, "Should I not be happy?" I mean, that's such a
Yeah.
beautiful way of
Yeah.
telling what the priorities should lie, and it kind of
Yeah.
brings out the
Yeah.
character so well.
Yeah. No, so she's again like over there, he's stuck in this big problem, and like, for her, she's like, I'm stuck, but I'm going to continue. I'm going to move on with whatever I can in whatever way I can. And the moment before that for me is, I love that moment. Like I love, I mean, I shouldn't be speaking more. This is a very difficult portion to be talking about. But yeah, like I love that she's in such a soup, but she's had a moment of joy, and she will take up that joy. She's not going to let go of it, because the weight of this big thing is something she's living with. Those are, yeah, I think you can tell both the characters with these very small moments, and they all inform so much. And that's to do with the writing and how Prasanna sir is, put it together. They're all so well written characters. You have to do very little actually. Actually, in the whole film, I've felt this, and I've said this multiple times. I felt like um, I didn't have to put. I just had to go, and like there were the best of the best people handling everything around you. So it was so much trust. So you just had to go into a place and it would flow. Like, your best will also happen. So I really felt like this was an intense film for sure, but I didn't have to put like effort. It wasn't a difficult, or I really felt comfortable in the idea that we are working towards the best outcome of this film, and that's a very, very nice feeling to go with when you're
Amazing.
acting.
I'll talk about another scene again from the trailer. I'm choosing those ones only to not let things out. Yeah, there's this scene where
You're doing it smartly. The problem is when I talk about it, I'll talk about the before, after, and I mess it up. It's so difficult to go to these promotion interviews now and keep talking about the film but not say anything.
Not
but
say
yeah,
anything.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this scene where they go to the cave and Mr. Andrew says that, Ravana is sleeping here and he will wake one day to save Sri Lanka. And how odd is it for an Indian to think Ravana as a savior? I mean, the film continues to give such irony, right? I mean, it's kind of, Ramayana does not only belong to us. There are so many interpretations, like the film itself.
Exactly. So that I found that really beautiful because there's always perspective. There's always different ways to look at the same thing. And I felt that with everything, this sort of duality was there in everything in the film, or even with, what we think is right and wrong, or which it just depends on which side you're going to look at this thing from, right? And I found that really beautiful. I found the fact that each of these characters have a lot of so-called wrong or right things that they're doing, but you always see this why, you see their reasons, and it was such a very humanistic approach to the whole thing. I felt like there was empathy for each of these characters, and the film doesn't judge each of these characters. So I found that to be a really nice way to look at each of these characters, and their stories made sense to me, and I could have been any of them. I could have been sort of doing the same thing that any of these people did. Felt like you said, with Ramayana, where we come from and the way they look at Ramayana is so different. And she's also talking about the many different versions exist of the same epic. And I love that's sort of it's left to you. It's sort of a little bit of how you are going to see it might be telling you more about yourself than about the scene itself. I love that.
How good were the two Sri Lankan characters, the inspector and Mr. Andrew? They are so good. I mean,
we had both of them, and then there are two more actors. All of them were just so incredible. I was looking through videos, and I have a video of Mahendra Pereira, he played Sergeant Bandara, and he's just comes to set with so much energy. He was such a pleasure to work with. He's a superstar there. So he's like this, seasoned actor who's done so many films, but he's coming in with full student energy, ready to party with something he loves to do. And I loved working it. Both of us, Roshan and I, were just we loved him. We loved Sham sir, who plays Andrew. I had more of more scenes with Andrew, and Roshan had more scenes with Bandara.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to watch. There was one scene in the police in the police station where Bandara and Keshav go into this argument. The scene, I know you know what scene I'm talking about. But when they were shooting that scene, so we were just observers in the scene and we were quiet, but they both were having such a good time doing it that we all had such a good time doing that scene. It was such a these two actors, and I'm so lucky that I got to. Who would have thought that this actor from Kerala is going to go to some other country and get to work with some of the best over there? It's just things of the dream. That it's just best possible outcomes of me choosing to do this thing. I love it.
When the film releases in theater, I'll look forward to that scene, that particular scene that you mentioned now.
Yeah, you should. He's just, there's a video of him singing "Don't worry about a thing, every little thing's gonna be all right," and he's just there's just all these people are around him. He's held Roshan, around his shoulder, and he's singing this, that, and I feel like that was I'll probably put it up sometime because it's for me that was the essence of him. He came in with such like healing, happy energy every day to set. What a joy he was to work with. Yeah.
Amazing. So, see, Paradise has won the Kim Ji-sok Award at Busan. This year, Girls Will Be Girls won big at, Sundance. And of course, the Grand Prix win by Payal Kapadia at Cannes. So that's the cherry on cake. So, and Payal had great things to say about the Kerala film culture, the industry, and the audience, to the international press. So what do you think that, makes Malayalam cinema different than the other industries? Because I also have been reviewing films from different industries, and I also keep saying the same thing, that films which come from Malayalam cinema, they are just a different breed altogether. You have to analyze them differently. Do you feel that yes, there is a difference?
One I think for sure is the fact that Malayalam audiences are ready to accept different kinds of films. And we've had from sort of, much earlier, we've had many incredible filmmakers, different, like some of the films that, like from, my favorites of like KG George and Padmarajan and all of this were from, ages ago, much ahead of their time, and like incredible films that are so relevant, or like just even sometimes just even as entertaining even today, with like comedy, or with Malayalis are I'm making a very general statement, but most Malayalis have a sense of humor that's like on a set and all, they're just really funny, and I feel like films have traveled with comedy so much. I feel like audiences today, it's really fascinating that from if you look at this year, we had all of these big hits that we talk about with Avisham and Manyamal Boys and all of that, and this month we have some really interesting, not particularly mainstream films in the theater today. So we have Gaganachari, which is like a sci-fi comedy. We have Ullorku, which I caught yesterday and is outstanding, which has Parvati and Urvashi Chechi in the lead. And Urvashi Chechi is just outstanding. Like, she is a dream to just watch. And so there are these two female lead. There's a story, beautiful story, film directed by Christo. And then we have Paradise coming end of the month. Yeah. So this is the kind of sort of palette, I feel, that Malayalam theaters, Malayalam audiences are sort of watching. It is a task. It's still a task that these films are going to have to, struggle a little more to make it happen than, say, the big entertainers. But I still feel like audiences do accept all types of watchers are there, all types of films. I mean, I am very personally, I loved watching an Avisham. I loved watching Ullorku, and they're like, they're like very, very different films. And those are both films I'll go to the theater and buy my ticket to watch, because I appreciate that kind of cinema. So maybe it's that. Maybe it is the fact that literature plays a big part in stories even today. I don't know. I don't really know. I just know I'm very lucky to be part of the industry. Yeah.
What about Paratha, Darshana? Is it too early to talk about it? The glimpses are so good.
Great. I'm glad you liked it. So Cinema Bandi is, I'm not sure if you've caught it. Yeah, that was Praveen's previous film. I really liked Cinema Bandi. It was such a simple, beautiful film. So I was really looking forward to getting on board with Parda, and I've had such a lovely experience working outside of, Kerala in a language I do not speak. I thought I'm going to be very alien, but I felt very much at home with that bunch. And it's a very interesting, I feel like it's these three women in the lead in an environment where there aren't many stories being said about the women, right? Like, you don't hear, it's quite a struggle to make a Telugu film without a hero. And this is that. And, so I felt like when he narrated the story and told me what he's looking to do with the film, it felt like he was pushing the boundary, and it is my responsibility to sort of stand with something like that and help make that happen. So that's how I got on board. I wasn't particularly looking to do films in especially languages I don't speak. So Telugu was like a fully new language to me. So, and even in industry or even watching films, I'm very new to that space. But I think it's going to be a fun, interesting film, and I'm really looking forward to what's coming from there.
But coming back to Paradise, is it more of a pan-India release, Darshana, or is it?
Yeah, it's going to be. It's going to be in, I think, everywhere on the 28th. So, yeah, I hope all of you will be able to catch it. I'm guessing that's a really nice feeling, because most of my friends are outside of Kerala, and they're all the movie releases on one week, and then it depends on how it does in Kerala until when there's going to be a release somewhere else, and they're all just like, when is it coming here? But yeah, I think with this one, everyone will be able to watch it together, and that's a great thing, because the producers are really backing up this film like it is, like they would with a commercial film, and that's beautiful that a film like Paradise is getting a release like that. Where if you I don't know what the situation is outside of Kerala, but in Kerala, Roshan and I are on KSRTC buses, we're on hoardings, and they're everywhere. So people are constantly sending us photos, and that's beautiful that Newton Cinemas decided to back this up, and they're doing it out of I feel like they don't come from a very selfish place of, it's not for this film alone. I feel like it's for the bigger cause, or like for the larger thing of, we should make more of these films, and there's no other way to make this happen than to push these as much as possible and hope that people do everything we can to make sure people come to the theaters. So we are hopeful. Like, it is a tricky one for sure, but I'm really hopeful. Like I said, I have faith in audiences here, and I'm hoping that people, not just here, outside of Kerala as well now, I feel like there's so many eyes on everything that's coming out of Kerala. So I'm really hoping that we're going to get the kind of attention once it's out in the theaters everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, I'm quite certain. And sometimes I want to let you know, Darshana, that the films of the Kerala film industry come to Birmingham before they come to Calcutta.
So, how lovely. Yeah,
yes, so true.
So it's
they
like
come to Delhi even late. They come to Delhi even late.
which we see first, and then Arup gets a chance to see. So I think
then I get a chance.
And also Ashmita. So that's something which is happening. Truly, you are going global. I think Malayalam cinema is going global.
It's at an international standard anyway. I mean,
True.
Any other film from any other country is at par, and we have excelled. I think it's just the exposure, and there are other things that needs to work out to get that international viewing.
Absolutely.
But that's a different thing.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Good that you mentioned Newton Cinemas, because it's also the fact that they are funding a filmmaker for another country to talk about his country's story, which is not that common thing to do. So that's a really standout thing.
And if you even look at their lineup, the last they did was Family, and I haven't got the film, but I was shooting when it released in the theaters, but that also had a theater release, and it's great that they are looking out and for content that is meaningful, and they want to produce that, and they're okay, or like they're obviously not. I mean, it's at the end of the day a business, but they are going for it with their heart in the right place, and that's beautiful that I got to work with them. Yeah.
That's really wonderful to bring Arup. You brought that up about Newton Cinema, and with that, I think I would urge our audience to go and watch Paradise all across India. As Darshana said, it's a pan-India release, and you'll all have a great time.
Even outside of India, I think worldwide release. Okay. So I'm not sure where. I don't have details, but I think it's going to be everywhere. So I don't.
So it's going to be everywhere. If it's here, I'm going to watch it. I'll just check, and I'm sure it'll be here. If not now, maybe in a couple of weeks. But every Malayalam film I've seen, it's here. So I really think you're going to enjoy that. And if If you do not like it, Arup is going to refund you because he is the person. But I'm sure, no. Jokes apart, it's awesome, and we'll really have a blast, and we really look forward to the release of Paradise. Darshana, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much.
It has
so
been a
lovely
blast.
thank you so much. Lovely talking to all of you. And I've got some of each of your stuff, by chance, or like, it's so nice that there are so many of you like so investedly catching films, and I think that also plays a big part in why so many of us small Malayalam films that we've made with this much money is reaching so many people. So thank you. I really hope Paradise also reaches a lot of people, because I think it deserves to.
It will.
It does.
We hope for this.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Darshana.
All right.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Darshana.
all. Thank you so much.